Welcome to NFL Nexus. You know, the Tennessee Titans just made a move that has the entire league buzzing. And honestly, it could either be the move that saves their franchise or sets them back for years. They're a team at a major crossroads, trying to claw their way out of a full-scale rebuild after a season that was, to put it mildly, just punishing. And at this incredibly critical moment, they went out and hired one of the most polarizing, most debated, and, yeah, most fascinating coaches out there. This move is going to define their next decade. So today we're going to break down their huge, high-stakes bet on Robert Saleh. All right, let's get into it.
So, to really get why the Titans made such a bold and, let's face it, controversial move, you have to first understand the sheer pain of their 2025 season. I mean, just look at that number, 3-14. This wasn't just a down year, folks. It was a total and complete collapse. It was a season so bad they fired head coach Brian Callahan after a disastrous 1-5 start, which, let's be honest, is the team waving the white flag. The only silver lining you can possibly find in a year this bleak was that it landed them the #1 overall draft pick. But it came at a huge cost, leaving the franchise feeling adrift, demoralized, and in desperate need of a new identity.
So what do you do in that situation, right? Your franchise is basically in turmoil. You've got a brand new, highly touted rookie quarterback in Cam Ward who needs leadership and, more than anything, a stable environment to grow. Now, the conventional wisdom in today's NFL is crystal clear. You go out and you hire a brilliant offensive mind. You find the next Sean McVay or Kyle Shanahan. While the Titans, they looked at that blueprint and they ripped it to shreds. Instead, they made a choice so bold and to many people around the league so baffling, it sent shockwaves across the entire NFL landscape.
And that choice was this. The team announced they are finalizing a deal to hire Robert Saleh. Yes, that Robert Saleh. The super intense, passionate former head coach of the New York Jets. The defensive coordinator who, most recently, went back to the San Francisco 49ers for a year, almost just to remind everybody of his pedigree. I mean, he's a name that brings with it a ton of excitement for his supporters and an equal amount of baggage for his critics. He is, without a doubt, a total lightning rod.
Now, what's really fascinating about this slide is the journey it represents, because Saleh's recent career has been an absolute roller coaster. Just look at this path. He becomes this coaching superstar, rising to national fame by building one of the league's most feared defenses in San Francisco. That success, of course, lands him the top job in the massive New York media market, a job filled with promise that ultimately ends in failure and him being fired. But instead of just fading away, he goes right back to his roots in San Francisco for what was basically a prove-it year, reestablishes his elite credentials, and now, almost immediately, gets a second chance to prove he can be the guy in charge, this time in Nashville.
If you know one thing about Robert Saleh, it's probably this mantra, all gas, no brake. And look, it's not just some catchy phrase for a t-shirt. It's the absolute core of his entire philosophy. It represents an intense, emotional, and really demanding leadership style. He expects total accountability, and his supporters will tell you he's known for this almost supernatural ability to get his players to, and I'm quoting here, run through walls for him. Now, for a Titans team that sources say was lacking confidence and energy last year, you can immediately see the appeal of injecting this kind of personality into the build.
So why? Why would the Titans, with a brand new rookie quarterback and an offense that was just broken, bet their entire future on a defensive-minded coach with a losing record as a head coach? Well, to understand their logic, you have to forget about the New York record for just a minute and focus entirely on the one skill that is absolutely beyond dispute. The argument for Saleh starts with his undeniable, his unimpeachable expertise on one side of the football. This is the bedrock of the entire decision.
And this term right here, defensive architect, it just perfectly illustrates Saleh's reputation in the NFL. He isn't just a good defensive coach. He's considered a true architect. And what that means is he doesn't just call plays. He builds the entire structure from the ground up. He designs systems that are scheme versatile, which means they can adapt week to week. They can shift from a 4-3 front to a 3-4. They can use complex blitzes and weird coverage shells, all to attack an opponent's specific weakness. This is his calling card, the elite skill that keeps getting him these high-profile jobs.
Now, what's really cool about this slide is it shows you the peak of his powers. This isn't just some theory. This is the proof in the pudding. His 2019 49ers defense was a statistical masterpiece, an absolute juggernaut that almost single-handedly carried that team all the way to the Super Bowl. Let's really look at this. First in passing yards allowed, at under 170 yards a game. I mean, in an era where 300-yard passing games are routine, that's just suffocating. But they weren't just a passive defense. They were chaos creators. T5th in sacks with 48, 6th in takeaways with 27. This was a complete unit that attacked from every angle, and it's the blueprint for what Titans fans are dreaming he can build for them. A great scheme is one thing, but can you elevate the players in it? Well, the evidence says absolutely yes. Saleh has a proven history of getting the absolute most out of his star players. He helped turn Nick Bosa into a Defensive Player of the Year. He coached Fred Warner, a third-round pick, into arguably the best linebacker in the entire sport. He even got an all-pro season out of a veteran, Richard Sherman, who a lot of people thought was past his prime. And you see that last name on the list? Jeffrey Simmons? That's the key for Tennessee. They have their own blue-chip talent right there, and the expectation is that Saleh will unlock a whole new level for him, making him the undisputed centerpiece of this new defense.
But what about his time as a head coach in New York? This is where the argument for him actually gets really compelling. Even during that difficult, loss-filled tenure, his defenses were consistently elite. Just look at these ranks. 4th in the league in 2022, 3rd in 2023. These were top 5 units that were often the only reason the Jets were in games at all. And when you see those ranks next to the fact that the franchise has the longest playoff drought in American pro sports, well, it strongly suggests the team's problems ran much, much deeper than Saleh's coaching on that side of the ball. His unit held up its end of the bargain, and then some.
Okay, so let's flip the coin and look at the other side. Because for all that defensive brilliance, there is a loud vocal group of critics for whom this hire makes, and I'm quoting directly from one of our sources here, 0 sense. If the pro-Saleh argument is compelling, well, the case against him is just as strong, and this is where the Titans' gamble truly begins. The central conflict, the entire paradox of this hire, is laid out right here on this slide. It's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. How can one coach be so brilliant in one role and struggle so profoundly in the other? On the left, you've got a resume that screams Hall of Fame coordinator. On the right, you've got the resume of a failed head coach, a 20-36 record, fired just 5 games into his 4th season, constant criticisms about game management, clock awareness, and a complete inability to fix the offense. This is the core of the Titans' bet. Are they hiring the genius on the left, or are they getting the guy on the right?
And this, right here, is the multi-million-dollar question. It's what every skeptical fan and analyst is asking. The modern NFL is an offensive league, period. The proven formula is to pair your young franchise quarterback with an offensive guru who can build a system around his unique talents. The Titans have watched that model produce champions, and they've decided to go in the complete opposite direction. It is a massive philosophical risk in a league that just punishes teams for being behind the curve.
So the huge fear here is that history is just going to repeat itself. And critics, they have a glaring piece of evidence: the stunted and ultimately failed development of Zach Wilson, the number 2 overall pick that Saleh's regime was supposed to build around. The offense under his watch was consistently one of the worst in the league, and one of the biggest criticisms was a constant failure to make necessary in-game adjustments. I mean, even when they brought in a legend like Aaron Rodgers, the system struggled. This is the cautionary tale that hangs over this entire hiring, creating a totally legitimate fear for what could happen to Cam Ward.
Peeling back another layer here, one source bluntly questions the entire premise of the hire. They point to the Titans' own recent history of high coaching turnover and ask if hiring another guru, even a defensive one, is really the right move. This source questions if this is just another spin of the coaching carousel for a franchise that has struggled to find any stability. Is Saleh truly an upgrade who can fix the core problems, or is he just the next guy in line for an organization that's been struggling to find its footing for a while now?
So, you've got these 2 powerful competing narratives, right? The defensive genius whose track record is basically unimpeachable versus the failed head coach whose offensive failures are a massive red flag. When you weigh it all together, you are left with a monumental, high-stakes bet. A franchise-altering decision that will absolutely define the Tennessee Titans for the next 5 years, for better or for worse. And this right here, this is the mess that Saleh is inheriting. Make no mistake, he was hired to fix this. The Titans' defense in 2025 wasn't just bad, it was inept in the most critical areas. I mean, 25th in points allowed, that's how you lose games. But look at the takeaway numbers. 28th in total takeaways, 29th in interceptions. That tells you this was a passive defense that didn't make game-changing plays or create short fields for its struggling offense. Saleh's immediate impact will be measured by how quickly he can turn these ugly numbers around. This is job number 1.
Now, for this massive gamble to actually pay off, it isn't just about Robert Saleh himself. The sources are very clear that a precise, perfectly executed plan is absolutely essential. It starts with step 1, hire an elite offensive coordinator. This might be the single most important decision the franchise makes all year. This person has to be capable of developing Cam Ward, which would free Saleh up to be the CEO head coach. Step 2 is to build around your stars. The offense is Cam Ward's, the defense is Jeffrey Simmons's. You empower them. And step 3 is all about the culture. He has to successfully instill that all-gas, no-break mentality and bring confidence back to that locker room.
Ultimately, at the end of the day, this is what it all boils down to. Are we about to watch a great redemption story where a brilliant coach learns from his past failures in New York and becomes the leader everyone thought he could be? Or are the Titans just destined to watch the exact same movie play out again, just with a different cast? The future of their entire franchise and the career of their young quarterback is hanging on the answer to that very question.
So now, we want to hear from you. After hearing both sides of the argument, what's your take on this? Is this a brilliant, culture-setting hire by the Titans, or is it a disaster just waiting to happen for their young quarterback? Drop your opinion in the comments below. We really do read every single one of them.
You know, we love making these deep dives, and your support really helps us keep going. So if you enjoyed this explainer and you appreciate how we break down the biggest stories in the league, please take a second to hit that like button and subscribe to NFL Nexus. It really does help the channel, and it makes sure you won't miss any of our future explainers.
And finally, thanks so much for watching. If you're looking for a fun way to show your team spirit, check out our NFL-themed coloring books. They're seriously great for fans of all ages, kids, grandkids, even adults. And every single purchase helps support the channel. You can find the link right in the description or just scan the QR code on your screen now. We'll see you next time here on NFL Nexus.